Hi everyone, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here. How you all doing? It's been a little while. Just mainly because I think there's not really been much I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so obviously Alien Earth turned out to be just awful. I didn't actually even finish it. I mean, I think after episode 5, I was just out. Show looked great, the effects, but the writing, the characterization or lack thereof, a monumental disappointment. But as always, in the back of your mind, when Disney's connected to anything, you kind of know, yeah, okay. Pleased to say Dexter Resurrection absolutely nailed the landing. Really enjoyed that. A definitely big recommend from me if you're a Dexter fan, or even if you're not a Dexter fan, you can jump into Dexter Resurrection without having to have watched the original series. Michael C. Hall is just fantastic in it. Really strong writing. Great season. Sad to hear that they're not continuing with Original Sin. I actually really enjoyed that as well. That was the prequel. But hey, one good show. So I'm here today for something that I covered the trailers. I was really excited for. Tron Ares. Yeah. So I've literally when we had the coming out in 4K, got the steelbooks, original Legacy. And Legacy is an interesting one because I think both films when they came out, certainly Tron was way ahead of its time. Again, went to the cinema to see it, just as a little dot, I would have been about seven or 8 when Tron Ares came out. 7. When Tron came out, and loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think I didn't really kind of get them going in and out of the computer at that age, but I didn't care. It was just cool. It looked great, but of course it looks massively dated now. But at the time, like this, and then a couple of years later with The Last Starfighter, all computer effects, which is amazing. And then again, when Legacy came out, didn't really do well, unfortunately. But I think both these films, as I said, are quite ahead of their time and actually good at sci-fi. They pose questions. They give you things to think about. The introduction of the ISOs in Legacy. And then Disney bought Star Wars. And obviously they were going gangbusters with Marvel. So any sort of sequel. So I mean, it didn't do appallingly, but it didn't do, I don't think, quite what they were hoping for. I think it's about 400 million at the time or something. And basically got shelved. So Tron Ascension, which was to round out the trilogy, got shelved. And people have been trying to get a sequel off the ground for a long time. So now obviously they've run Star Wars and Marvel into the ground. Good old Disney's like, hey, what can we resurrect now? What? And they go, oh, hang on, we've got this these couple of films that we own. And Jared Leto, who's the lead in the film, he plays Ares, says he's a big fan of Tron, and done a lot of work and managed to get a sequel in the works. And we are I think 14 years after Legacy, around that point, we finally got Tron Ares. Now the trailers looked amazing. Looked really exciting, and then we started to hear stuff that it's not a direct sequel to Legacy. It's a little bit of a reboot. Sam and Cora aren't in it, and I think the biggest thing that annoys me more than anything when people make sequels, it's called Tron and Tron's not in it. You're just like, what? So hey ho. So I went in anyway, try with an open mind, let's give it a go. Where do I start? So I think for the first half of the film, I was just probably a bit bored. There's lots of exposition. I mean, they have done a good job in terms of you could just jump into this film without having to watch the previous two, because there's a whole bit of exposition at the start that sort of says this is Kevin Flynn, this is Sam Flynn, this is that, blah blah blah. And as usual, because it's Disney, right? So straight off the bat, some light spoilers here, guys, but I think most people have heard this anyway, that obviously the lead of the second film, Sam Flynn, we just find out, just sort of casually in passing, that, oh, he's resigned from his father's company, Incom, for personal reasons, and he's just not around. And of course, he's replaced by a woman. Well, there's a shocker, right? So we get two Asian sisters who take over Incom. One of the sisters dies. We don't see this. It's all kind of just, you know, exposition, and it's a bit where Ares kind of hacks into Incom and gets her file, and we kind of see all these like memory type things, you know, all about her. And then we're kind of just sort of thrown into the film. So the Dillingers are still Incom's sort of biggest rivals. They're all vying to, and again, like Dillinger's still the bad guys, so they put all their money and tech know-how kind of into weaponry and warfare, and they're morally dubious, and then Incom's still the good guys making their games and looking to develop AI and things like that to improve humanity and, you know, help find cures and develop humanity rather than destroying it. Okay, so that's kind of your setup. The story's so basic. None of the characters you really care about. It's 100% modern Disney. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like massively woke, but you've just kind of just got the usual, you know, I said like woman takes over Incom, because we couldn't have Sam Flynn coming in being the hero, having a, you know, strong male moralistic hero. That doesn't wash in this day and age, does it? So we have to get rid of him. The actress that plays Eve, who's taken over as the Incom CEO. I'm sorry, just getting people's names. Bear with me a second. That was just so memorable. It's ingrained on my brain. What can I say? So Greta Lee, who plays Eve Kim, she was like, I mean, she can act, but has no gravitas whatsoever. You know, it could have been worse. We could have got Aquafina, right? I guess, but yeah, she was like, you know, everything's sort of done, say, through exposition, and we don't really get to know her or really care about her, to be honest. You know, we're invested in Kevin and Sam's story, and we're just dropped in. We've got these new people parachuted in. We don't really know anything about them. We don't really care about them. And there's no real character development. You know, she's not like a Mary Sue. She's just, you know, but she's a good person. She starts a good person. She ends a good person. That's kind of it, really. You know, fine, whatever. Jared Leto, fine. I mean, he's playing Ares. Obviously, he's a program, so not going to have the most scintillating personality in the world, but, you know, he's fine. I don't know if they put a lot of padding on his suit or he's put on some weight. I'm not sure, but because he's so thin in real life, you know, so they've done a quite good job of making him look like you couldn't blow him over in a gust of wind. Jodie Turner-Smith just plays the same character she plays in everything. Angry black woman. You know, that's the only thing I ever see her play. You know, she just sort of always snarky, always angry, always just wanting to kick some bloke's ass or something. So absolutely usual stereotype. Gillian Anderson is underused. You know, she's obviously a great actress. She plays Julian Dillinger's mother, so she's the original Dillinger's daughter. And Evan Peters is fine, but again, it's just another trope, you know, billionaire, tech bro, bit of a psychopath, you know, just running amok. So absolutely nothing new to the table, not pushing. I mean, the reason I loved Tron and Tron Legacy and obviously in Tron Legacy we have the creation of the ISOs, and we're not quite sure that they like sort of, you know, they're more than a program, and they're like almost human. And then obviously Cora could come into the real world, and it was a really interesting story that they'd set up about how could this, like, you know, bridge the world, change our world, all those kind of things. All that storyline's been dumped to a really superficial, we can now bring the programs into the real world, but they only last 29 minutes. But there's a bit of code that Flynn wrote that would enable them to stay permanently. And it's a bit of like a treasure, like who can get to the code first. That's basically the story. That's it. Like, okay, so it's absolutely basic bitch. It very lightly touches on, you know, and like a lot of other films around AI, you know, what does it mean to be human, and what's, you know, and if you can feel, does that mean you have a soul, you know, all those kind of things. But it's so lightly touched on, it's not really explored. The characters are all kind of one-dimensional. The guys in it are kind of more the humorous relief, even though they're not funny, but at least they're sort of tech bros. So one of the guys does actually manage to sort of help win the day. But you know, as usual, there's not an alpha male in sight. You know, Ares is the closest thing you get to that. It looks great. It absolutely looks amazing. As per, say, all Disney stuff these days looks good. No characterization. Women girl bosses, and nonsensical or basic bitch storylines. And this is unfortunately exactly the same. Yeah, so pretty disappointed. A lot of time I come out and go, you know, it's fine. This one, like I say, for half of the film I was just bored. Second half of the film, or towards the end of the film, it does pick up where like sort of the main action and where a lot of the stuff we saw in the trailers come from. And yeah, when they come into the real world, that was like there's some good bits there that kind of hook you and you're actually sort of interested and engaged in what's going on. But the main problem is because you don't care about Eve, because you've got no reason to. You know, you're a bit like, well, yeah, maybe she'll make it, maybe she won't. I don't know. You know, nice enough person. Nothing against the actress or even the character. She wasn't like I say, she wasn't like eye-rollingly girl boss annoying. She's just this nice woman who is grieving the loss of her sister. Sort of feels a bit lost without her, and you know, just trying to do the right thing. But again, so one-dimensional. You know, you've got this whole concept of obviously like losing a sister and grief, and you know, you've got this program that, you know, that can just regenerate. They don't really understand loss. I mean, there's lots of things there they could have really sort of gone into more, and just it was just kept really high level action film, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of 80s action films where the plot is like especially Arnie, like they're completely nonsensical, but there was something charming about them, and there was like, you know, the characters and whatnot, and they were engaging. This just wasn't on so many levels. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I can recommend it. All I can really say is that it looks great. Soundtracks, like if you like Nine Inch Nails, the soundtrack is absolutely banging. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the most engaging thing is like they get with the soundtrack. But complete lack of story, complete lack of characterization. Massive letdown. I mean, we could have had Tron Ascension, you know, but it's doing a Tron sequel. I mean, there's a point in the film where they easily could have brought Tron in as a cameo, easily towards the end of the film, and where he meets up with Kevin Flynn. Again, I think it was in the trailers, not a spoiler there. You so could have just had something with Tron, or even Kevin talking about Tron. He doesn't even mention Tron. You're just like, and there's, you know, he's kind of a ghost in the machine, but he, like, you know, he remembers everything. And there was not like even like, oh, tell Sam I love him or anything like that, right? It's just like we're just going to ignore this character exists. It's this, whatever. So I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10, 4 or 5, and that's mainly for the effects. Like I say, the sort of action bits were entertaining, they were enjoyable. So the second half of the film is definitely, because there's more action, is definitely better than the first. The first half of the film is just lots of, this is going on, right? This has happened, so we can get to here, and this has happened, and this has happened. Okay, now we can kind of, kick in with the story a bit. So, yeah, that's it. Sorry, guys, that's all. That's the amount of enthusiasm I can muster. I'd say like all the acting's like kind of fine. It's not, but and I say it's not massively eye rolling. Jodie Turner-Smith is just, like I said, it's just her usual stomping around, being sort of snarly. She's a bit eye rolling, but she's a program Athena, so whatever. But so at least it explains why she has strength and can like kick the crap out of people, which at least that's explained. But yeah, massive. There was so much potential, but I think it always comes back to the quality of the writers. We just don't have good, intelligent writers that can write sci-fi anymore, or have any kind of concepts that they don't have to give us the answers to, but things for us to think about. It's basically an action film. It's not even a sci-fi film, in my opinion. Yeah, disappointing. 4 out of 10. That's it, really. So let me know what you think. As always, do leave me a comment and your thoughts on the Tron series or Tron Ares. Yeah, and as always, do please like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully to do a few more shows, as we've got some new shows coming out. As I said, I've just really not been anything that I was that excited to talk about, and things in the UK have been a bit not great over the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure guys in the States, but obviously we had some terrorist attacks here, and obviously stuff going on in the States with Charlie Kirk, etc. So it just didn't really feel like jumping on and waxing lyrical with and the anniversary of October 7th, etc. So hopefully with all that out the way, and there's progress being made, fingers crossed, over in the Middle East. So and some new shows in the run up to Christmas, obviously. The words have left my mouth. Oh my god. As we're like mid-October already. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be making a few more shows. The one thing I was really looking forward to going to see was Mortal Kombat 2. That's been pushed into next year, so I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, so I have to sort of see what else is coming on at the older theatre. But I hope some shows coming up and be chatting about that, or just chatting about what's going on in pop culture land if there's no show, so I can kind of get back in the habit of coming on here and chatting to you guys, because I'd love to know your thoughts. So leave me a comment, obviously give me a like, and I will be back soon. You take care now. Bye-bye. End of line.